Hi guys. So it seems that we have a bit of an in-house dispute here happening, and I wanted to just speak to it for just a few moments as one who has been there. um, at least I have experience, right? So I personally am no stranger to being told to go home by pastors, quite literally. And for those of you who know me, you know this to be the God's honest truth, unfortunate truth. But believe me when I say I have been there, girls. I have. I know full well what it feels like to hear those very words from the very men who should be offering the most encouragement, the most love, the most support in all the world. I get it. I get it. If there was ever a woman in the church who understood deeply the depth, the discouragement, and the enduring pain that these kind of words from those who should be considering us sisters and co-laborers and fellow soul winners, it is without the shadow of any doubt me. It is me. I know. I get it. I feel you. I definitely do. But let's just take a moment here and consider our would-be friend, Mr. MacArthur. Now, I don't know about you, but I cut my spiritual teeth on the shirt tails of this man's amazing mind. And don't get me wrong, I'm not justifying him, but there is little comparison among the greats when it comes to John MacArthur and his passion and his precision and his pining over the word in a real and worthy way. And we don't know many people who do that, okay? He's one of the greats. He's one of the few that have given himself over his entire life to the study, in the right study of the gospel, right? In a worthy way. So even though we may not all agree with everything theologically or ecclesiastically that he has to say and teach, have any of us ever really found even one other person that we can say that that's true of, right? None of us agree on everything, and we're bound to have some non-essential things that we do disagree on. I mean, it's just how it is, right? That's why we have so many denominations, right? So if we're honest, we're going to say no. We can't even find one person or one denomination with which we adhere to every single jot and tittle, right? Right? That's why we're all called to study for ourselves and work out our own salvation. So that brings us to MacArthur's harsh words, and I would say declining reputation over the past at least several years, if not longer, as it pertains to complementarianism and his views on women in the church, as well as other matters on which he's staunch, right? He's a staunch guy. He believes what he believes. And yes, there are many things of which we could say that of MacArthur. He's a staunch guy. But no, we don't always agree with him. We're not going to. And I'm sure that's the general consensus, because that's what I hear coming out time after time when these events take place with John MacArthur. Or should I say these disputes? So, I mean, I've heard the words that everyone is saying, but I wanted to offer also that John's commitment to many things on a core level of conviction may just be the very matter that makes him so incredibly great, because we've lost that, guys. We've lost it in our culture, that core level of conviction that says, I'm going to do what I believe no matter what comes, no matter who likes it, no matter who, wants to tear me down about it. He has a core level of conviction, and he has that about all of his beliefs, okay? At least the ones that matter, right? And so our strengths, of course, are our weaknesses, and that goes for every single one of us. And John MacArthur is a strong man, okay? He's a strong man. And what does Satan say about the strong man? We've got to tie him up first, right? That's where we're at here. That is what is happening within the church with John MacArthur. He's the strong man. And don't believe anybody who ever tells you that Satan is not after leaders. He is. He is. There's no doubt. So there's where we are. But it is just like Biggie Smalls taught us, right? More money, more problems, right? John MacArthur is big. He's huge. In terms of larger-than-life theologians of our day, of which there aren't very many when you really look around, at least not ones that are honest with the scriptures and whatever. There are very, very few that compare with John MacArthur's greatness and his reach. When's the last time that we really stopped to consider that? Consider the souls that this man has sought out to save. When's the last time that we remembered how many he has helped, he has healed, and been an absolute herald of the very gospel of Jesus Christ toward? Now, I am not defending his go home speech. I'm not. I'm just trying to establish something here about, the truth and how we ought to react when someone says or does something wrong. Okay? So we simply cannot deny MacArthur's long and faithful legacy to teaching the truth and carrying a torch which will not compromise when it comes to the fact that absolute truth really does matter. How many others can we really claim that is true of? Not very many. So that brings us to the issue at hand. Mr. MacArthur wants women to go home, right? He doesn't want us to teach. He can't believe that we would be so bold as to think that we could preach. He says we're in error according to the scriptures and that we're usurping the very word of God, okay? The word we all know that MacArthur loves with a very worthy and reverent love. He has proven that so. So I do not think that he is working against himself here or against God. I think he truly believes what he is teaching, okay? This is not against anyone. It's his core belief. It's his conviction about these matters. Right or wrong is his conviction, right? And so, you can see how much that's affected me, right? Personally. I haven't been taken off to jail. I haven't been taken off to John MacArthur jail yet. I'm still here, right? I'm still teaching, right? So I will, however, be the first to say that I personally adhered for the better part of my Christian existence to the Reformed view that MacArthur holds about complementarianism and women's silence within the church. I did. I basically always did believe the things that MacArthur taught about women. I couldn't come to terms with the fact that God gave me gifts that he didn't want me to use, though. I was confused. I was taught MacArthur's way, and I was taught all the reasons why the Bible supports that, and I myself believed that it did. And so I couldn't reconcile why God gave me gifts that he didn't want me to use. It was a big problem for me. It's a big problem when you're a feisty young woman in her 20s with a whole lot to say about the love letters of Paul the Apostle. And what about those messy old prophets? Who wouldn't want to spend their entire lives and every moment of the day studying and sharing what those men had to say? That's me. That's where I was. And it's a whole world of wow, if you ask a girl like me. I love the Bible. And I have given my life to learning what those guys meant and sharing what I know about it, right? And so even my own belief system that I believe to the core did not stop me from doing what God was calling me to do, which was to study through the Word myself, study to show myself approved, write it down, and preserve it in such a way that at least my daughters would know what I believed. And if it reaches someone else on the way, then it does, right? If they don't happen to be female, well, that's God's business, right? And so I began writing a blog over 10 years ago, and that's what I did. John MacArthur's view didn't stop me. Okay, my own view didn't stop me. God did what he wanted to do through me because I was faithful in the daily of what he had asked me to do and what he had gifted me to do. Okay, still though, by God's grace, over the past year, I was privileged enough to be given a group of believers who believed very differently than what I did, than I always had about these matters. God, in his great, great mercy, gave me a pastor who taught me how to become balanced in my beliefs without ever badgering me or making me feel bad for what I thought that I knew rightly. His very conduct and his love-immersed gospel work with real people whom he really loved is what showed me how wrong I was about several matters, many matters of life and of faith, matters that were not up for discussion in my heart and my mind when I stepped into that church. And so my theology, which I held on to with both hands, which was my security, was melted down as iron in the fire and made new by this man and his great messages, which were all one message, and that message was love. Love. Pastor Stuck taught me about love. And if being stuck there has that kind of transforming power, that is where I will to always be found. Because let's face it, girls like me don't just change what they believe because some guy tells them to go home. Girls like me only change what we believe by the transforming power of love, right? So, matter of fact, dare I say, the only way anyone at all ever moves from a place of staunch, long-held, incorrect belief is through the transforming power of love. Love must always lead. Love is what changed me, and love is what will change Mr. MacArthur, if change is to be wrought at all, right? So what I see here in this little conundrum that we have going on in the public eye is this. I know what an insane amount of love it took for me to even start to see a need for myself to change. I was a girl who was outside of the organized church, who trusted no one who had a religious title. And when I say no one, I mean no one. And I had good reason for thinking such. So I had been studying the Bible and my own theology for over 20 years. I knew what I believed, and I knew why I believed it. I could give you chapter and verse. I was not interested in changing, and I certainly wouldn't do so just because some man with a religious position told me so. That wouldn't happen, okay? That would be the last thing on my agenda as far as gospel work goes. But the gospel work accomplished in me personally over the past year has been profound. And there's no other word for it. And it has all been a result of a pastor and a people who loved me. That's how God did it. That's how he chooses to do this. Okay, that's how he changes us, through his love, right? They'll know we are Christians by our love, not by our bickering back and forth on Facebook about whether or not women can teach and preach, right? So as far as MacArthur, how much more love must we have for him and toward him if we would really seek to see any change in his own heart? Or is that not our goal? I wonder. That's what I wonder. What's our goal here? How much more love and respect and honor must we show a man who has so long faithfully labored and has every right and every reason to trust in his own belief system over and above ours or anyone else's for that matter? I mean, he's the guy. I mean, there is no guy. Jesus is the guy. He's the head of the church. But if there were a guy, he would be it, right? MacArthur, maybe Ravi Zacharias, Sproul, who has recently died, but those are the guys. Why would he listen to us, mere women, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. So he has, he's going to trust in his own belief system over and above other people's because he's the guy, right? He has to go to Jesus to get that fixed. And no, he is not by any means above correction. No one is. And no, he may never come even one fraction of an inch in our direction, ladies. He may not. And yes, we must accept and love him anyway. That's our call. He is our brother. He is our brother. He's our brother. And he's a mighty good one at that, if we really want to think about it. The truth that nobody seems to be saying here is that two wrongs don't make a right. Lashing out at the one lashing out doesn't do much for our cause. Well, unless, of course, our cause is our own agenda and damaging his reputation. I think we need to consider our goal here. And I'm preaching to myself because this is what we do in the flesh. We all have this propensity to do these kinds of things because it's natural. It's fleshly. But I think we need to consider our goal here in light of John MacArthur and his comments and our reaction to it. Is it really reformation? Is our goal reformation of the church? Don't we already know what we believe? Doesn't he? And why can't we agree to disagree? If he's wrong, God will correct him, and guess what? I don't see him handcuffing any women who are out there preaching. I mean, if we are, if we are wrong, then we'll get the same correction from God, because let's not forget that we all do indeed have a Father here. We have a Father, and it's his job to correct us all. So let's ask ourselves, is our goal really reformation for the church, or is our true goal power and presence? And it's something I've had to ask myself lately. Is our goal control and condescension? Do our goals reflect the very reason that MacArthur rightly fears us and our potential position, and that we rightly fear him and his? That's the question we need to ask, because there is no fear in love. Love does not perpetuate fear. Fear does not perpetuate love, and there is no love in fear. At the end of the day, two wrongs still don't make a right. And when someone is clearly in the wrong, or perhaps simply has a different perspective than we do, does blasting them for it really help? Does blasting them for blasting us really help? Does it? No, it doesn't. What it does do is make us feel better. It satisfies our flesh. Hurt people hurt people. That's the old adage, right? It's like shouting across the lunchroom, talking smack about the other team because the other team is talking smack about us, only to realize that we're on the same damn team. We're on the same team. It's infantile. It's division. And I will tell you what it's not. It's not love. It's not love. MacArthur's lack of love is no excuse for anyone else's. Certainly not ours. And while I do, however, believe a large and looming leader such as he ought to really know better, and I know there are repercussions for him in his speech toward women, I also must ask why he should not get respect that's due him. Or maybe both are true, right? Both, he ought to know better and needs corrected, and he needs to be corrected respectfully, given respect, given honor, and given correction and love. Both of those things are true, okay? Because the trickle down from a superpower such as this is bound to be catastrophic. He's not above correction, And when you're bigger, the things you do, the effects and the ripple effect is much bigger, right? So you have more responsibility when you're in a position of leadership. He's not above correction, but we are not at liberty to share in his lack of love when offering such, right? No one is. And that's our whole problem. We lack love toward one another because we fear, because we disagree, because we think someone else is out to get us or doesn't like us or wants to tear us down somehow. We automatically the first thing to go is love, and we can't not allow that. So, make no mistake, church, we are in a war. We're in a war. We have one enemy. His name is Satan. I don't understand why the war has to be with one another. It should never be with our brothers and sisters. It shouldn't be. And if it is, we need to fix it. That's what God's word says. We need to reconcile rightly, quickly. Leave your gift at the altar and go be reconciled. Don't do another thing for me in my name until you fix it. Your brothers and sisters, you're on the same team. You have one enemy to fight, and it's not going to be easy. You better get your troops together. That's what we need to do. We're falling for the devil's schemes when we are divided in this way. And so we have to start realizing that we are on the same team, church. Yes, Mr. MacArthur he's on our team. He's going to be in heaven with us. So we might as well get used to him and do to him as we would want done to us. We need to start acting like we're on the same team. And so I just felt like I should say that just because I've seen all of this in the news lately, and I've seen all the, the filters with, preach it, sister, and all that stuff. And, I mean, I guess, but I just think that the whole thing, it really just needs to be dealt with in love. And so many times we fail. So many times I have failed to rightly love someone out of a hurt reaction to something they've done to me, or even this very subject. I mean, pastor's saying go home, leave us, don't be here, we don't want you, you're not welcome. And I don't know whether it's because I think it does have something to do with the fact that I'm a girl and that I'm knowledgeable, but who knows what the reasons are. I wish that I knew. But in any case, whether their reasons are valid or invalid for saying go home, like John MacArthur has said to the likes of us, it's no cause. There's no acceptable reason or justification for lack of love. Even when someone else is in error, even when it hurts really, really bad. We got to absorb that pain, because that's what Jesus did, on the cross. He did that for us, and who are we to think that we shouldn't have to do it for him? I just don't understand why we have to fight with our brothers and sisters. I wish we could be reconciled. But in any case, that's my take. That's my 2 cents. I'd love to hear back from you. Thanks for listening, and I hope that is helpful. We'll see you later.